Hello and welcome to Uncommon Starcraft Into the Forge. I'm your host Casey, and today we're going to be working with Nikazi one more time. We're going to go over some TvT and kind of look at some of my old builds and take a look at the progress I've made. So, without further ado, it's all yours.
All right, buddy. So I would like to start out, I guess, same format as the last two sessions. I do want to go over some of your replays. So I've gone ahead and made you party leader. So go ahead and boot up a replay for us.
Alright, let's see. Last TvT. A lot of team games in the middle of this. Yeah, sure. See what happens here.
All right. And make sure you make me a lobby host.
Sure. This one's pretty short. I think there's a couple great examples of me getting stomped by some aggressive play. Some nice early cheese.
Alrighty. So yeah, I guess we'll see what goes on in these replays. I guess one thing I want to say real quick is early scouting is really important in TvT. I don't know if you noticed those games against Mimo. We both kind of, I guess one or two of the games I didn't scout really early, but for the most part, you want to get eyes on your opponent's gas as soon as possible, and you also really want to figure out what their first unit out of the barracks is. Because a gas first play, and then if you see like a Reaper pop out after gas first, you're going to see a Reaper Hellion type of build like I did against Mimo or Mimo did against I.
Okay. So,
And typically you want to build at least one bunker to hold off Reaper Hellion builds like that. Sometimes you can get two depending on the map, like Orbital Shipyard. I like to get two bunkers sometimes. But if you see a gas first and then their first unit is a Marine, they're probably going to do some sort of cheeky build like the Raven build you saw me do, or they're going to be doing like a Banshee build, obviously because Marines don't take gas, so all that gas is going to go somewhere when they go gas first. And typically that gas goes into tech units such as, tanks, Banshees, Liberators.
I think this is an example of half the games I see are either Marine Rush or Reaper Rush.
Yeah, Reapers are really popular in TvT. I mean, it's not a bad build. Like, I like to do Reaper plays sometimes. I don't think it's good to depend on it. Like, this guy you're playing against right now, this guy obviously, or maybe not obviously, but it's looking like he's not very comfortable in TvT, so he likes to do these proxy barracks builds even on a 4-player map. And a lot of people aren't very comfortable in TvT, so that's why they choose to do these proxy barracks builds. And as you were commenting on earlier, TvT can get pretty stressful, so that's why a lot of people opt for these builds.
It was described to me once as a shitfest, one base shitfest.
Yeah, I can get like that. It's early game TvT is kind of like ZVZ in a way. It's really volatile. If both players go for an aggressive gas first build, it's kind of like a competition to see who can expand fastest while sustaining the least amount of damage. So one thing I'll comment on, I don't know how I feel about this reactor on your barracks right off the bat. I think you'd have been better off with a react. Oh wait, so sorry, tech lab. I think you would have been better off with a reactor instead of this tech lab.
Just in general for TvT?
Yeah, so the only time you ever really want to get a super fast reactor like that is if you're doing like a one base tank push, which you're obviously not. You Reaper expanded, so you're gonna want to get a reactor in order to pump out Marines. And I mean, this is pretty much just a kind of a build order loss. You know, this is a pretty straightforward cheese loss. You're actually killing more Marines than I thought you would, though.
There's just nothing to mine minerals past that.
So here, I'm going to back this up, and I'm going to show you exactly where I think you could have identified that this was happening.
Okay.
So I'm a little bit ballsy, and I like to try and get away without scouting sometimes in TvT, especially on these bigger maps. But I would definitely recommend to you to always SCV scout in TvT, so you can identify shit like this.
Okay.
And typically, on 2-player maps, I'll scout super duper early. So this SCV building the depot, on 2-player maps, I'll scout with that SCV. It's a little bit early, but usually it ends up saving my ass more so than it, you know, hurts it because of the lost mining time. But basically, when it comes to scouting in TvT, you always want to SCV scout. And the way you want to time it out is you want to think about it. When you're building a wall, think about, you know, the perfect time for an SCV to come in. The perfect time for an SCV to come in would be like before you get that second depot up, you know, or right before you drop a reactor to finish the wall or whatever. So typically, if you don't scout with this SCV building the depot, you want to scout around 16 or 17. So here, I'll point out where I think you should have scouted. So right here, right when you start your barracks,
Okay.
So let's look at the CC. This SCV that's building out of the CC, you should rally it to your opponent's base. Or I mean, not your opponent's base, but like to the top right corner, and then have your Reaper either send that to the top left corner directly across the map, or to the left. I always like to scout with my Reaper horizontally, and I always like to scout with my SCVs vertically on 4-player maps like this.
Okay.
And like I said, you want to time it around the same time because you're both Terran. You know, you're both both Terrans are typically going to be walling off their ramp, so you want to time it out to a point where your SCV is going to be able to get in without being walled out. So if you don't scout right after your first depot, you want to scout pretty shortly afterwards. Sometimes you can scout with the SCV that's building the racks. But in TvT, I definitely recommend scouting sooner than that. Around 16, 17, or 18 is optimal scouting time in TvT.
Would it work to scout with the SCV when he finishes the supply depot, and then build the barracks closer to the base command center?
So I like to build my barracks close to my command center in TvT, just because if I see like a Reaper Hellion play or some type of early aggression, I like to put a ramp or a bunker at my ramp, and I like to incorporate the bunker into the wall, you know, so putting the bunker in between 2 depots.
Okay.
And also I like to put my barracks close to my CC just to minimize lost mining time. That's just kind of, you know, like a nitpicky type of thing.
Okay.
But I would definitely recommend, I mean, on 4-player maps, you can get away with, you know, putting your barracks at the ramp. But on 2-player maps, I definitely would advise to always put your barracks close to your CC. I mean, it doesn't have to be right next to your CC. Like I like to do it, just not at your ramp. You know, because if you build a a reactor or a tech lab or something at the ramp, that's the first thing that's going to get killed if they do some sort of like early aggression. Also, if you build a bunker if you have your barracks at the ramp and you need to build a bunker at the ramp, you're going to have to either lift your barracks or you're going to have to put your bunker in a suboptimal position. So like if you were to put a bunker like right there, they can still snipe your depot on the other side of the wall. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Because the bunker's not going to be able to reach. So it's best to have your bunker, right in the middle of the ramp.
Game resumed.
So yeah, I definitely think you should have already been scouting by now, even though you're going for a Reaper expand. You're at 17 supply. I think that 17th SCV should have been rallied to the top. And in TvT, like I was saying, with your Reaper, you can scout cross map because if they're doing a proxy build like this, they're going to be building it in the middle of the map all the time, So if you scout directly diagonal across the map, you're gonna scout it with your Reaper pretty early on.
Okay.
Also in TvT, regardless of map, it's never really a bad idea to build your CC. So if you do like a Reaper expand build like this, it's never a bad idea to build your CC in your main base just to be safe, because we are Terran and we have the luxury of floating buildings.
Is that something you recommend more for TvT than anything else?
Yes, it is. Sometimes in TvZ, depending on what you scout, if you SCV scout early on, but TvT, I definitely recommend building the CC in your base. Sometimes I'll build it on the low ground on 4-player maps like this. But yeah, this game's pretty straightforward. Straightforward build order loss.
Okay.
Basically, you lost because of scouting, and also like I was mentioning, this tech lab on the barracks. Is there a reason why you got that? Did you want to start stim super early, or were you going to transfer it to the factory? What was your reasoning behind this tech lab?
So one of my understandings of TvT is the importance of tanks. So I always try to get in a quick tank. If I can get the tank out before these early rushes come, it does a lot for me.
Yeah. So I like to build the tech lab, my first tech lab, directly on my factory.
Okay.
And then a reactor on the barracks. And one thing about tech labs in TvT is the idea of stim. It's always good to have stim before your opponent, but I don't know if you noticed my games against Mimo, he always got stim before me.
Yes.
And the reason that is because stim are unlike upgrades. Once you get stim, you're caught up. But if you get behind in upgrades, you're behind for the entire game, if that makes sense.
It does.
So like you can delay stim, you can deprioritize your stim in order to get, either faster upgrades or more tech-based units like tanks and Vikings and whatnot. You can be 30 minutes into a game and never research stim, but if you're ahead in upgrades, as soon as you get stim, you're ahead altogether. You know what I'm saying?
I do.
So, basically, I guess moral of the story is for this game, think about scouting a little bit earlier, even on 4-player maps like this. 4-player maps, you can afford to delay your scout a little bit. Not by much, though. 2-player maps, you always want to scout super early. And this tech lab's a bit too early. Think about it. If you had a reactor instead of this tech lab, you would have had, 4, maybe 5 Marines ready for, that push. And if you were able to identify this proxy push, you could have had, a bunker up. You would have had more Marines because of a reactor,
yeah,
et cetera, et cetera. So basically, I'm gonna I'm gonna copy paste you like the general flow of TvT after a Reaper expand. I'll do that here in a second after we watch some more replays, though.
I mean, if we just go right into if I just focus on whatever one base you usually do, I can draw up the Reaper fast expand for my TvTs. I just hadn't. There's not a consistent build I've been doing in TvT because I haven't had one.
Yeah, I feel ya. So feel like I'm starting to repeat myself, but yeah, after a Reaper expand, always get a reactor.
Okay.
On the barracks.
Gotcha.
Anyways, let's move on to another replay.
There are some good ones in here. Some not 4-minute ones. Let's see. That was Lair Like Crest. There's a lot of team games. I'm playing a lot with GNR. Alright, let's give this one a look. And lobby host.
So especially on Prion Terraces, or Prion Terraces, however you want to say it, especially on this map, I scout with my SCV that builds my first depot. And like I said, it is a little bit early. You know, some people will say it's too early.
Oh, look at that. I need to look at the replay time. Go ahead.
That was weird. I got confused for a second. But yeah, on Prion Terraces, I always scout super early just because it is such a like a cheesy one base heavy map, you know.
Alright, are you out of the... There we go.
Yeah.
So that's a big one base map, even though the gold is right there.
Yeah, so did you see that post on Reddit not too long ago, the PSA about gold bases?
No, I didn't.
I'll have to link that to you, but the thing about gold bases is they, at full saturation, a gold base or a blue base provides you more income than a gold base does, which sounds a little bit counterintuitive because, you know, it's gold and you want to get that gold base and you get 8 minerals per trip, SCV trip.
But it's 12 saturated versus 16?
Yeah, it's 12. Yeah, 12 SC. The thing about golds is you can saturate them faster because it takes less SCVs, but at full saturation, they don't actually bring in more income.
That's interesting, actually. So it's not. Is it more useful for Zerg or Terran?
It's more useful for Zerg because they can get to full saturation faster with less drones, leaving more larvae for army units.
Okay.
I mean, don't get me wrong, gold bases are good, but they're more of like a short-term type of good, you know?
Sure. Maybe better with the timing than it.
They're like a nitrous boost, but in the, you know, at the end of the nitrous boost, you know, you're still going as fast as your opponent is. So I notice you have a little bit you struggle a little bit with walling off on certain maps. I think you're doing okay on this map, but I noticed on Lair Like Crest your wall was a little bit janky.
At this point, every time I wall off, I put it where I would normally put it, and then I try to move it 2 to the left. That's what ends up happening.
So I do like your scouting timing in this map. See how you got in right before he put down that depot, and that was a little bit of a mistake. You should have got eyes on his gas.
I think I wasn't paying attention to the scout. I'll have to just queue him up farther back in next time. I think I tried to one base this one. That is my best attempt at mimicking some of the games I saw between you and Monk.
I don't really have anything to say right away. I mean, your build order doesn't look, horrendous or anything, so you got that going for you. I am curious to see what you do with your factory. You drop a tech lab. So I'm thinking you're trying to go for like some sort of marine tank push.
It's been about 3 days. We'll see. I do remember thinking, hey, I'll save this for the coaching. I don't think I've ever made a Raven in my life. Maybe one.
They're really good units. I like them a lot.
I've never got comfortable with too many spellcasters. I'm just now starting to drop a lot. And it's fantastic.
Okay, so another thing I want to mention about TvT, because of the importance of scouting, if your SCV gets locked out like yours did, or your SCV gets killed before you get that critical information, like looking at their gases or seeing what their first barracks unit is, don't be afraid to scan.
Okay.
If you were to have scanned, you would have known you don't necessarily need this NG base so fast. It looks like he's about to do some sort of Banshee build, but if you would have scanned around this time, around 3 minutes or so, you would have seen he's got these Reapers. He's building something from his factory, and then you would have seen whether or not you needed an NG bay for such an early turret. And like I said before, turrets aren't a bad thing. It's just they're kind of a mineral sink, and there's something you don't want to build unless you have to. And you want to be able to like time it out correctly so that if you do need an NG bay and a turret, that it's finishing right when you need it to finish.
Just in time, not okay.
Game resumed.
So basically, don't be afraid to scan in TvT early on. Don't use your first 50 energy on the orbital. So always drop a meal as soon as your orbital finishes. But then your next 50 energy, feel free to scan.
Game paused.
Also, I don't know if you know this, or you might, because I just noticed you dropping the Marines out of the medevac to put the tank in.
Mm-hmm.
Medevacs are first in, first out. So whatever unit you put first into a medevac, that's the unit that's going to drop out. So if you notice, when I do tank drops, I always put my tanks first in my medevac.
That's good to know. I didn't know that.
And so basically you did that just now with this medevac, but I guess you just didn't really, understand that putting the tank in first means it's going to come out first.
That's good to know. I'll be able to think about that now.
So yeah, whenever you do like a Widow Mine drop with like Marines in it, always put your Widow Mine in first. That way you can get it burrowed as soon as possible, like right before your Marines start attacking. Because as soon as your Marines start attacking, they're going to get a notification, an alert. Our base is under attack.
You get them from looking at it 1 second sooner.
Exactly. And this, just like Preon Terraces, is a one base heavy map too. So you're not wrong in, trying to do this one base cheeky play. And I like how you're still making SCVs. Even though you're oversaturation, just never stop making SCVs. Because even if you have too many SCVs, as soon as you do expand, it's instantly saturated, And I like your drop, getting a little bit of damage done where you can and then getting out. I mean, you do eventually want to expand, though. Even when you do one-base plays like this, you do want to plan on expanding at some point, especially if you don't get any damage done that you want to get done. And it looks like you're about to expand, so that's good. It's later than I would like my expand to be, even if I was doing a one-base build, but it's good that you're expanding nonetheless. And your expand is faster than his, so... Yeah, he's doing a really weird build. I've never seen anything like this before. Like the 2 barracks with Reapers and a Raven and tanks like this.
Moving on to tanks is also something I've struggled with. So I plant here and just try to hold this.
And that's good. A small contain is good. You could even build like a turret here or something. And so like I was talking about that NG Bay earlier, I noticed you're building a turret right now. Excuse me. But think about how long you've had that NG Bay and it's been doing nothing. You didn't start an upgrade, you didn't get turrets right away after it finished. Whenever you build NG Bays, you want to make sure you're using it as soon as it's done. And when I say using it, I mean, starting an upgrade or building a turret.
One's done.
Yes. Oh, is it? Oh, nice. I did not notice that. But yeah, I guess be a little bit more.
I could be building my armor.
Yeah, exactly. You could almost have 1-1 at this point, and then starting 2-2 shortly after.
Game resumed.
So I like this contain you got going on here. I don't know about the bunker though. I think I would prefer to put a turret there, or maybe even a sensor tower. A sensor tower wouldn't be bad either.
I don't think you knew that was there until just then.
So one thing you should get into the habit of with your Marines, whenever you have Marines being supported by tanks like this, and your opponent also has tanks, put your Marines on hold position. Because did you see how the AI of your Marines, as soon as your bunker got attacked, they tried to go forward into tank fire?
Yes.
So get into the habit of putting your Marines on hold position until you select them and control them.
Okay, I see it.
Game resumed.
That's good.
Because Marines, for some reason, like to wander into tank fire. So one thing about Seeker Missiles do friendly fire damage. So whenever you get Seeker Missiled on one of your units, whether it be like a Marine or even a Medevac or something, try to select that unit that's Seeker Missiled and run, like, suicide it into your opponent's army and get whatever friendly fire splash damage you can.
Okay.
And you're not really going to see a whole lot of Seeker Missiles. I prefer to use the auto turrets with Ravens. You're going to see a lot more Seeker Missiles in late game TvT when it's like, Viking BC Raven versus Viking BC Raven or whatever. But yeah, just keep that in mind.
Okay.
Secret missiles do friendly fire damage, and you can abuse it. I don't like how many turrets you're building right now. 1 or 2 is good, but I would definitely recommend you should opt for sensor towers instead in TvT.
Okay.
Because turrets don't really stop drops. Turrets are basically just for detection, you know? In a sense, whenever you get dropped, you're gonna need to fend it off with your army. You're not gonna be able to rely on turrets to fend off a drop.
Oh, I remember what happens here. This is fun. And there's that. Okay, no missile turrets.
Oh wow, this is getting real weird real fast.
Yeah, I didn't actually realize he floated his buildings. I was so focused. A missile turret just took out a building, just so we're clear.
Wow, you're actually doing really, really well against this push. Also, one thing I like to do in TvT, when you're attacking floating buildings like this, only attack them until they light on fire. Because when they light on fire, they deplete health slowly. So as long as they don't land and drop a mule to start repairing or something, you can just, set one of their buildings on fire and then focus on killing other buildings.
Okay. He more or less makes me chase him down throughout the map, trying to find him. I don't quite start SCV production as fast as I'd like to have done.
You win this, right?
I do.
Alright, cool. I think we can move on. It's basically Saltmaster 5000 floating his buildings around at this point. Yeah, that was pretty good. I think he did really well that game. As with most of the replays we've looked at, I think your build order could obviously use a little bit of work, and obviously your game sense when it comes to like scouting and understanding, what you're seeing and whatnot.
Okay.
But good job on that game. I don't play Olrena. It's one of the maps I veto.
Actually, I like it.
Do ya? So it's definitely a one base heavy map, especially in TvT. Yeah, I don't know. I don't really have anything else to say about that replay. Good job on winning.
Cool, thank you. I'll open up one more. I'm gonna use the bathroom and come back once I make you lobby host.
Okay.
All right, I'm here.
Alrighty then, I will start this replay. I notice you're starting to play platinum players. You think you're getting pretty close to a promotion?
I've been playing off and on platinum. I think since shortly after our first couple coaching sessions. Maybe if I can ladder more than once a day.
Yeah, it definitely takes sheer volume of games to hit promotion sometimes. I mean, unless I were playing on a gold account, I could probably muster out a promotion within a couple games.
I beat my gold opponents just about as often as I beat my platinum opponents. I think as a self-assessment, I'm good for gold, and I might break into platinum.
Cool.
But I still make a lot of mistakes that like even a silver player could capitalize on it and take me out.
So let me ask you this: in general,
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to TvT, do you want to focus on being a more aggressive player, or do you want to focus on being a defensive, like a Reaper expanding defensive type of player?
Most of my TvZ and my TvP I'm comfortable with, and they are, what did I do here? 2 barracks. Oh no, that's him. They are usually 2 base pushes with lots of drops. That's what I've been leaning towards. If I could synergize my TvP and my TvZ and my TvT, all my matchups to be kind of the same, that's something I'd like to do. So they were all somewhat similar. I think here I noticed
cool.
2 barracks, and I went ahead and started building more barracks to match.
Cool, and that's a good response. Although, I do think you should be building either 1 or 2 bunkers.
Okay. Just near the mineral line, near the CC?
So, let's see, you're about to build... So instead of this depot at the ramp, put a bunker there, and then maybe a bunker over here near where he can hop up. Because it's obvious he's going Reapers. Once you see the 2 barracks at his natural ramp like that, you got to prepare for Reapers.
So that's something I noticed. It could be Reapers or it could be Marines lately, for me, in my area.
Well, typically, I don't see... I guess I'm also a couple leagues ahead of you, but typically I don't see Marine builds unless the barracks are proxied.
Okay. That's a good point. I don't think I ever catch the proxy buildings. I see the after effect when the Marines march up the ramp.
So right now you should have 2 or 3 Marines at your ramp and 2 or 3 Marines at the back door.
Okay.
And ideally, you should have at least one bunker. So if you had a bunker at your ramp, you could put one Marine in the bunker and then put all 6 or 7 of your Marines over at the back door. And I think instead of dropping these tech labs, I think you should have, in these 3 depots, I think you should have expanded. Because whenever you see a wall off with barracks at their natural ramp like that, they're going to follow up with whatever they've done. They're going to follow up with an expand at their gold. And you in TvT, like I was saying earlier, it's kind of a race to see who can expand first while sustaining the least amount of damage. And you're inherently going to be more behind for every second he's got an expand and you don't. I do like this little counter you've done. This might even be checkmate.
Or at least what starts it.
Yeah, I noticed the game goes on for 12 minutes, so this isn't quite checkmate yet. Okay, so I notice you're about to go into his base with your Marines. You see that tech lab researching STEM?
I should have sniped it.
Should have sniped that.
Game resumed.
I mean, as long as you get SCV kills, that's good. You know, it's not bad. It's just I would have preferred to try and snipe that STEM. And you also could have killed those 3 Marines that trickled out of these barracks at his ramp. Yeah, pretty normal what's going on right now. You're pretty behind in income, though, if you look at the income tab.
Okay.
But that's about to change now that you have this gold base. And then you took these 2 extra gases at your natural. I'm not exactly sure yet if that's a bad idea. But you're about to have a surplus of gas, you know.
Right.
And you may or may not be able to spend your gas fast enough. You're already climbing in gas. You're at 300 and not quite spending it yet. So I don't think you should have taken these 2 refineries at your natural so early. Yeah, positions like this, how you have with the tank, these can be such a headache sometimes.
Those loaded pretty fast.
So, what was the reasoning behind putting your factory behind your mineral line like this? I'm not saying it's bad or anything. I'm just kind of curious why you did that.
I didn't want to see. If he had a chance to scout me, I didn't want him to see me transitioning and attacking up.
Okay.
I thought maybe he would continue the aggression.
Yeah, see how you have these two refineries at your natural, and even though you've only got one SCV mining from each of them, look how much gas you have, you know?
Right. For mention, I hate tanks.
Say that once more?
I hate tanks.
Dude, yeah. Tanks can be a headache, man.
He does a pretty good job here. This is... Do I get it? Oh, I didn't even continue to target that.
Yeah, I was just about to say, man, you're so close to targeting that full medevac. You could have stemmed and got it.
I was focused on something else. I forget where I was at the moment.
Yeah, always try to focus down medevacs in situations like that. Whenever you're getting dropped or whatever, try to make sure you focus medevacs. Even right here, you know, with this attack you're doing, I would have tried to focus down those medevacs, because that means he can't reposition his tanks and he can't escape with his marines.
That medevac is so close.
That was really, really bad. The drop on top of his tanks, that just was kind of abysmal.
I've been trying to figure out how to beat this in close position. And I was actually paying a lot of attention when you and Kazi were going at it.
You mean Monk or Mimo?
Mimo, excuse me. You and yourself, right?
Yeah.
Seems to be the one who loses is the one who charges the tanks first.
Yeah, it's really finicky tank marine battles.
Oh, forgot about that expansion over there.
So you've basically checkmated him. He's kind of just holding on for dear life at this point. So basically what I'm seeing after watching all these replays, what I'm seeing is we just need to work on your build orders in TvT. Because I think you could have ended this game a while ago and you could have been way more ahead. So yeah, I think we just need to work on optimizing some of your build orders.
Okay. Sure, yeah, I mean, I think after our last couple, you've given me a framework to build with on TvZ and TvP. Just, you know, some of the normal things like TvP, I build 2 tech labs now and have more Marauder Heavy Army, and it's winning me a lot of games. I don't have that kind of comfort in this matchup. And really, though, watching you and Mimo and you and Monk play, TvT is disgusting.
Dude, it
and
is.
I hate it already.
All right, cool. Good job on that win. Straightforward for the most part. Let's go ahead and I think what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and teach you that Raven tank drop build. Does that sound good?
Sure, let's do it.
All right.
I'm going to delete my TvT notes.
So, and one thing about the Raven tank drop build I'm about to teach you is it is like an aggressive gas first tech heavy build. Um, and as with all tech heavy builds, you're going to be behind in economy unless you get damage done. So if you don't get damage done with a gas first aggressive build, you should be scared because you know if they went Reaper expand and you weren't able to do any damage,
Okay.
they're gonna be ahead for quite a while unless you do something cheeky like take a super fast third, like I did in that one game against Mimo. And also, this is one thing I've been planning on telling you about TvT is, in my opinion, TvT, the most important, I guess, moment or the most important part of a TvT is the first unit, the first couple units you make out of your starport.
Okay.
The first 2 or 3 units you build from a starport are essentially going to set the pace or set the tone for the entire game. And so when you think about it, when you do like a gas first build and you build a medevac, that is aggressive. You're not going to be using a medevac to defend anything really, other than like repositioning your tank. But if you go gas first and the first thing you build is a Viking, then you're doing a defensive build because, what are you going to do across the map with a Viking other than scout?
But you're going to prevent drops or liberators.
Exactly. So think about that. Whenever you're playing a TvT, the most important 2 or 3 units are the 2 or 3 units you build from your starport first.
Okay.
Because like I said, with a medevac, if you go medevac Viking, then you're doing an aggressive medevac drop, but you're also making sure you defend any sort of like liberators or banshees that come with the 2 Vikings. If you go, Raven medevac like I like to do, that's full blown aggression.
Okay.
And so, like I said, the first 3 units really set the tone of the game. They kind of, if you are able to see what 3 units your opponent makes from his starport, you're going to be able to tell if he's doing an aggressive timing attack or if he's doing like a defensive Reaper expand oriented build. Typically, if you Reaper expand, you're going to want to, get Vikings to defend a gas first push or something. So just keep that in mind. Put that in your notes. The first 3 units out of a starport are important for you to choose wisely and are also important for you to scout.
Okay.
And so how do you want to go about learning this replay? Do you think you and I should just play a game together? I'll do the build. You can do whatever you want. I'll execute the build, and then we'll go over the replay.
You've always suggested an Archon. What if we did an Archon versus AI or an Archon versus somebody we picked up?
That's a good idea. Let's do that, actually. We'll just do an Archon mode against an AI, and that way I can like pause and explain shit along the way.
Okay. I think you just have to create a normal custom game, and then there's a mode.
Yeah. Go ahead and toss me party lead.
Oh, yeah, got it. Promote. By the way, is there a week where we're a week in the Chobo Team League where a master slot opens and you'll be playing for us?
I don't think there's one. I think the Chobo Team League season's almost over, and I don't think there's another Masters week coming up.
We're really close this time. If Cactus can pull it off to beat Bear Sloss, I'm super excited. I've never been this excited about this thing.
See, dude, I was telling you, man, CTL just brings so much more meaning to StarCraft.
I'll tell you what did it. There's this power ranking thread, and every time I've looked at it, they've talked shit about GNR. So I just want to knock the number 1 out of their slot, and we're so close.
So close, dude. And, man, like, now that you're getting into it, man, hopefully, like, next season, maybe you can, like, lead the push in terms of getting people to practice more and just basic improvement. This is actually the worst I've ever seen GNR do.
I'm actually a little worried because as soon as I rank up, like I'll be competing for play slots. I'm one of 2 golds that's playing right now.
Huh.
Yeah, so I need to get some platinums promoted. Yes, on one hand, promotion is nice, but again, on the other hand, I might not play as much.
Okay, so one thing I want you to focus on is notice, this is just kind of little things, but notice what I do with like my rally points when it comes to like my SCVs and building depot or building refineries and building like my gas geysers, my refineries, and also like when I rally my SCVs to build a building. Just kind of keep that in mind. Don't focus too much on it, but
Okay, got it. I will, and I'll be taking notes this whole time. Man, this AI is screwed. Alright. That's a really quick rally point. I usually set all my camera hotkeys before that even happens.
SCV ready. Go ahead.
So notice I'm rallying my SCV to the geyser right now.
Oh wow, okay.
So gas first is at 15, and then barracks at 16.
In the rear.
So why behind the command center, not somewhere where you can add an add-on?
Because I intend to lift it off. Like the build I'm doing, I don't plan on building an add-on directly on the barracks. So I check his gases. He's got 2 gases. At this point, I would probably build a bunker, but since it's an AI, he's probably not actually doing a real build, so I'm not going to do that.
What would 2 gases mean?
2 gases would mean a Reaper Hellion or a 1 base tank Viking push or something like that. Or it could mean like proxy Reapers or something. But I saw a barracks in his base, so I know he's not going proxy Reapers. And then notice how I rally an SCV. Oh shit, never mind. I was going to say notice how I rally an SCV to my gas, but it didn't time up correctly.
So gas was after the factory started, or after?
Yep.
Okay. I've been using less supply counts and more like this than that than that.
Yeah, that's how I like to do it too.
When people talk supply counts, it's not as. Doesn't register with me as much as after factory next is refinery. Tech lab, okay. So you're just producing Marines, get a couple Marines out. You're lifting for, I'm assuming the starport.
So right here, let me unpause. Make sure you're looking at the factory right now.
Okay.
So right here, I'm getting a Hellion. I could get a faster reactor because I'm going to build a reactor on the factory after this Hellion and then switch my barracks to it. But I could skip the Hellion and go straight for a reactor. I would recommend the Hellion because the only reason I'm making a Hellion is to scout and to have map presence.
Okay.
But if you aren't concerned about scouting and map presence, then just go straight to a reactor.
Okay.
Game resumed.
Now, what's the Raven for?
It defends Banshees, and it's part of the drop with the auto turrets.
Okay. I did see that maneuver. It was a fun maneuver.
SCV ready.
And right here is where I would start Fake Cloak, because this is around the time where they scan, 3 to 3.5 minutes. But the Fake Cloak would make my expand a little bit later.
Why not just do one of the other upgrades? So you don't have to cancel it, you just get a medevac fuel reserves or something.
Because I need the gas.
Okay.
SCV ready.
One Raven, pop them off. Okay. Tank production. Medevac production. 2 tanks, 2 medevacs?
Yes.
Okay.
Talk to me, boss.
And then notice I have this Hellion over here just scouting around and stuff.
I'm in a heap.
Just driving by, check the expansion.
SCV ready.
AI is fun.
SCV ready for dust off. Fueled up, ready to go.
Alright, so right here I have my second tank and my second medevac started. And that's what I'm going to be using for the drop. Two medevacs, 2 tanks, and a Raven. At this point right here, if I want to play a little bit more defensively, I could take 2 more racks. But if I want, usually what I've been doing lately is I'll take a faster third. Because see, we're around 4.5 minutes.
Right.
The standard third timing for a Reaper expand is around 420 to 430. And if I noticed my opponent went Reaper expand, I'm going to drop a third right now, sometime before 5 minutes. Because I know if they Reaper expanded, they're going to have a third started around this time.
Okay.
But if my opponent goes like a gas first build, like I am, I know they're going to be heavy on the aggression, so I'm going to drop two extra barracks before my third.
Okay.
So basically, put this in your notes. After you've gotten the units for your push, 2 tanks, 2 medevacs, and a Raven, you have to decide if you're going to take 2 more barracks or you're going to take a faster third.
Okay, so after you've gotten your units for the push, 2 racks for a third. Now I want to recap real quick while we have this. So you went supply, refinery, racks, factory. Factory became refinery, and then a tech lab on the factory.
So you start the starport and then the tech lab on your factory.
Starport. Okay. Then it's factory tech, and the refinery's after the.
Let me try to write this down real quick.
Yeah.
And I'll paste it to you.
And then you do some swapping, and the goal is Raven. And then it's factory tech. No, factory reactor. And then another swap for racks, swap, reactor, and then another swap for factory, swap, tech lab, and then it's medevac, tank.
So that's not the entirety of it. That's it all the way up until the tech lab on the factory, what I just sent you on Discord.
Oh, let me look at that. Okay, so depot, gas, racks, factory, gas, marine, that's constant marine production.
Yeah.
Depot, starport, tech lab on factory. And that gets swapped back and forth with the starport. The factory sends out a Hellion and then makes the reactor, which gets swapped back out. Okay.
Yes.
All right. I thought I was having trouble with the normal swaps, like the TvZ and the TvP swaps were hard.
Oh yeah, the swaps in this build are a little bit technical, but just think about it. You only have 2 add-ons. You have a tech lab which you build with the factory, and you take it off temporarily, just so you can build the Raven. And then while your factory is off the tech lab, you build a reactor for your racks.
Okay.
So just think about it. You're building the tech lab for Ravens and tanks, essentially, and you're sharing that tech lab to build the Raven and tanks.
I think I can get that. That's just going to take some practice, and which
Yeah.
was overwhelming at first with the other two matchups, but we'll get there.
Yeah. Are you ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
Game resumed.
Do these have similar build times? 32 and 30. Yeah, they do.
Okay, so you want to send your Raven across the map around the time your tank and your second tank and medevac are halfway complete.
Okay. Why early?
Why early? Because medevacs have boost and they'll catch up.
Got it. So you pick everything up.
Also, your Raven will see if there's a Viking on this side of the map, and you can avoid it with your medevacs.
Will the Raven lose
Upgrade
to the...
complete.
You can run it away, or you can like drop a turret to try to kill the Viking.
SCV ready. SCV ready. Ready for dust off. This better be good. SCV ready.
Mineral field depleted.
Jesus, auto turrets.
Additional supply depots required.
That's not even fair.
So the thing about the auto turrets, can you pause for me? I ran out.
Yes, 1 second. Bam.
Game paused.
So the thing about auto turrets is you want to use them. You don't want to drop them right away. So if you noticed, I dropped my tanks and I sieged them as fast as possible. And then I didn't drop the turrets right away until his unit started coming for me.
Okay.
Because the auto turrets don't have a very long lifespan, but they're really strong in terms of attack. So you want to delay the dropping of the auto turrets in order to make sure they actually kill something, you know?
Okay. No, that's fantastic.
Because if you drop your tanks, siege them, and then instantly drop your auto turrets, the auto turrets might die before his army even tries to defend, you know?
Right. Okay.
And also, you might, if you start doing this build, you might win outright with this initial attack, but you're not always going to win. So that's why I have that third started. I could win with this. I mean, obviously, I'm going to win right now because it's the very easy AI. But against a normal player, they might defend it really well. And if you don't have that third started and they already have a third completed or something, you're screwed.
Okay. Now, from here, do we transition into normal medevac, tank, marine?
Yeah, so essentially, once we unpause, here I'm just going to unpause and stop actually like playing because let's just like talk about it. Or actually, you want to look at the replay?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay, let's do that.
Game resumed.
SCV ready.
Oh, look at that. We got the win. They surrendered right after you left.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
And we'll go pretty slow through this replay so you can make sure you got all the like add-on switches down.
All right, you know what? Let me down start this, and then I'm gonna take a quick restroom break.
All right.
Alright, I'm here. Oh, lightning, hi. I'm back.
All right. Sorry, I was just typing to lightning.
No
That's
worries.
actually a different lightning. So
Oh.
I have two friends named Lightning,
I was wondering about the clan tag. Like, what the hell is this?
and also he's got a capital L instead of lowercase.
Hmm.
Anyways.
Yep.
And the cool thing about the Raven is it can also defend against Banshees. So if they do like a Banshee build, a gas first Banshee, you don't necessarily have to send your Raven across the map so early. You can keep it at home to defend that Banshee.
What about a Mass Reaper? Is that just something I gotta spot and then transition out of?
Yeah, so Mass Reaper, if you notice, I lost to Mass Reaper against Mimo.
I did. Diamond player. Jesus.
I know, and so the thing about it is the Raven probably wasn't a good idea that game because it didn't really do anything.
Okay.
So yeah, if you spot Mass Reaper, you're probably better off getting a Banshee or a Viking instead of a Raven, because the Viking you can land and the Banshee they can't attack. So yeah, I'll slow this down a little bit. So yeah, 15 gas, and I like to rally my 15th SCV to the gas to build the refinery. Scout with the SCV building the first supply depot on 2-player maps. On 4-player maps, you can delay the scout a little bit. And also sometimes, if you're feeling ballsy, you don't even have to scout, But I wouldn't recommend that until, you're a bit better, up where I am.
I mean, in the scout, you're just trying to make sure there's no cheese.
Exactly. I'm just trying to see whether or not he's proxying me or if he's going like Mass Reaper. And then notice how I have, notice how I have my SCV, like I just have it shift clicked below my racks because that's where I want to build my factory. So factory, gas, marine. The marine's a little bit late. I should have started a marine by now.
Okay.
So factory, second gas, second depot, marine. You want to get that second gas first, and you want to get the marine ideally before the second depot, but I mean, it's okay. Just make sure you get that second gas first, as soon as you start the factory.
Upgrade complete.
Okay. Typing this down as it happens, making sure my notes are good.
Okay, and then as soon as the factory is done, you've got 3 SCVs in your second gas. You start a starport and a tech lab on the factory as soon as the factory's done.
Okay.
Game resumed.
And you're just making marines. And then around 25 or 26 supply, you're going to see I take my third depot to finish the wall.
Sorry, say that last bit again.
So around 25 or 26 supply, you'll see right here I'm making my third depot at the wall.
So after all, that's a depot.
So yeah, put that in your notes. 26 supply is your third depot.
Now, why not make it sooner? Because you don't seem to be short on any minerals.
I could make it sooner, but basically I'm making it as late as possible without supply blocking myself. Because if I were to make it sooner, that's one SCV that's not mining, and that's like 2 or 3 trips, and that's only 15 minerals. But once you start getting into higher leagues, that 15 minerals could be, the difference between winning and losing. As tedious or as unimportant as it sounds, I really do like to optimize SCV mining time.
I think optimizing the small things is the difference between like Diamond and Masters, isn't it?
Basically, you want to build supply depots as late as possible,
Okay.
without supply blocking yourself.
All right. Got it.
And then you'll notice here, as soon as the tech lab is done on the factory, I lift it off and land it enough spaces over to the left so that I have room to build a reactor and not block the space for the starport to land on the tech lab.
Okay.
Game resumed.
And then look at the SCV that's building the starport. Watch what I do with it. So you build another depot right after the starport. And lift the starport, put it on the tech lab, start a Raven. And then a reactor as soon as the Hellion's done.
And then send the Hellion out into the field to gather information.
Yep. Basically, you're just trying to see if he's coming for you with any sort of like aggression. You want to, poke up into his base, see what you can figure out. And then after you've started the Raven and the reactor, that's when you expand. Here, I'll pause it. But this expand is, I guess it's a tiny bit late, but that's just a small thing. I could have started a fake cloak, and that would have made my expand a little bit later, because like I was saying, around 3 to 3.5 minutes is when a Terran will scan to figure out what you're doing.
So I need to scan at 3.5 minutes.
If you don't get sufficient information. You'll notice I didn't scan in this game, and that's because I have the Hellion on his side of the map, and I'm being a little bit greedy. I don't want to waste a scan when I could be using a mule.
Okay.
And typically, let me say this too. Most of the times when you scan in TvT, it's when you go Reaper expand, because you want to know if they're doing something aggressive. If you do a gas first build, like this tech heavy build I'm teaching you right now,
Okay.
you can get away without scanning, because if you scan something, you're already kind of committed. You've already made the Raven, you're already planning on making medevacs to go for a drop. If you scan something, it's kind of going to just throw you off. It's going to make you feel like you need to change up your entire build order.
Okay.
And because you're doing a tech heavy build, if he does do some sort of aggression, you're going to be able to defend it. So if he has a Banshee, your Raven defends it. If he does like some sort of like tank push or something, you're going to have tank shortly to defend it. So with gas first builds, you don't need to be as worried about scanning at 3 to 3.5 minutes. I mean, you can, it's never bad to have as much information as possible. I just prefer to drop that second mule instead of scanning.
Game
Okay.
resumed.
And I made one too many Marines. You'll notice I canceled it because that Marine wasn't going to finish by the time the reactor was done.
And so when you went to the tank and medevac production and made the final push.
Yep, okay, so let me pause it right here.
Game paused.
Actually, let me back it up a tiny bit. I want to see... You see this depot up here?
Yes.
I want you to see the timing of that.
Kind of late.
No, so you'll see.
Game resumed. Paused.
So what I do here is I start my medevac and my tank, and then a depot, and then 2 Marines. You don't want to start the 2 Marines before the depot, because then you're going to supply block yourself.
That's a very tight supply count. It's a very precise build order.
So tank, medevac, depot, and then 2 Marines. And see how I'm at 46 out of 47? If I would have started the 2 Marines before that depot, I would be supply blocked for a few seconds here in a minute after this SCV finishes. And I do get kind of supply blocked here for literally 2 seconds, so that depot could have been a little bit earlier.
I never count it unless it screams at me. Although is the game counting it? That's a question.
Also another thing, so with this tank, you'll notice, this first tank I have, you'll notice I don't siege it. I used to siege it as soon as it finished for defense, but I've started not sieging it right away because if he drops in my natural, I want to be able to get over there with the tank, you know? Technically, I guess I could pick it up with this medevac,
Yeah.
but I just like it to be a little bit more mobile, you know?
Okay.
And especially if I need to, like, pick up the Marines with the medevac to, like, you know, go to the other side of my base and defend a Banshee or something, I don't want the tank to be in the medevac.
Game resumed.
And so you're making constant Marines from this barracks. I get supply blocked, but then the CC finishes, so I'm unsupply blocked. And then right here, this is where I was talking about. I take this fast third, and I'll do that against a Reaper expand player because I know they already have a third started by now, so mine's already a little bit late. But if they went gas first, then I would have started 2 extra barracks instead of this third.
If they were doing a tech build like you were.
Exactly.
Okay.
Game
Because I
resumed.
know that they're not going to be ahead of me in economy since they did a tech build like I did.
So, in your opinion, what would it take for Terran to no longer TvT to no longer be this one base shitfest?
I mean, it's been this way forever, man. I don't think anything could change it.
I didn't even know this existed until we started talking, and I'm seeing it everywhere. Like, I'm being one based by everything. And I want to actually bring your attention here real quick. I'm mesmerized by this little drone.
Where is it? I don't
It's
see it.
in the background. It's on the floor doing repairs on the map.
Oh, yeah, that thing.
I watched this for like a full 30 seconds while these medevacs came over here.
Okay, so you'll notice
Yeah.
here, let me pause it right here.
Yeah.
You'll notice my factory
Mhm.
and my starport, I'm making a third medevac and a third siege tank.
Yes.
And what I'm doing is hopefully I can keep my units alive, this Raven and these 2 other medevacs going for the drop. Hopefully I can keep those long enough
Mhm.
to get this third medevac and third tank in his natural. But also right here, instead of making a third tank and a third medevac, I could have switched the barracks to the tech lab and start a new tech lab on the factory, and then switch the starport to the reactor, if that makes sense. That
Yes.
way I can
Stim.
start stim.
Double
I can
medevacs.
start either double medevacs or double Vikings, and then I can. You know, the extra tech lab on the factory is just, you know, for tanks eventually. But the reason I start this third tank and third medevac is because I want to, I guess, synergize with the aggression I'm doing. So I'm doing this drop over here on the right side, and I'm hoping to possibly get like a double pronged aggression over on the left side.
I don't know if you can actually compete against this one rack from the tech lab. It's pretty scary.
Game resumed.
Took me a second to realize what you meant, but yeah, I look over at the AI's base. He's got 1 barracks with a tech lab.
Although this SUV's been running around the map the entire time. He's got map presence. No one can deny it. That Raven is disgusting.
Game
So
paused.
notice this third medevac over by my base.
Mhm.
So that's what I was talking about. I'm gonna go drop that in his natural while he's distracted in his main.
Where's it at? Oh, I see. Okay. Oh, a full another. Okay.
Yeah, so a whole nother tank and 4 Marines, and then I've got this third. I would, you know, obviously turn it into I like to turn it into an orbital command before landing it. But you can land it and then turn it into an orbital command. I guess it's just kind of preference.
You sacrifice something, don't you, by waiting?
Yeah, you do sacrifice mining time a little bit because I could, you know, take some of because my main is oversaturated. I could grab some of these SCVs and, you know, send them to my third, and I could get my third up and running faster. But I typically just like to play it safe and build the orbital first before landing it.
Okay. Gotcha.
And then let me point out, so I started these 2 extra barracks. I'm going to start a tech lab on one and a reactor on the other. You only really need 1 tech lab in TvT. unless you're playing against mech, then obviously you want more tech labs so you can build a lot more Marauders.
I noticed that about Terran. They say Zerg is very reactionary, but Terran seems to be the one reacting to everything.
I like to believe that as well. I don't play Zerg, but Zerg is a lot more reactionary when it comes to either droning or building army units. Terran is more reactionary when it comes to unit composition. When a Zerg picks their unit composition, that's what they're rolling with, you know, for the entire game until they transition into Ultras or something. But a Terran is reactionary in terms of they need to switch up their army composition. They don't necessarily, like, as a Terran, you don't necessarily have to react and say, okay, well, I need to stop making SCVs and focus on building an army. Whereas, you know, Zerg at some points needs to say, I need to stop droning and make army. That's, you know, the difference between the two types of reaction.
Doesn't the Zerg? I mean, the Zerg drops like a Roach Warren, and suddenly they can make 1,000 Roaches. They drop a Ultralisk Cavern, and they make 10 Ultralisks. I feel like our opener is very reactionary. Like, we have to know what's going on before we decide.
That's true. I agree with that. And so let me comment on these two extra barracks I'm making. So these 2 extra barracks, like I said, I'm going to build a tech lab on one and a reactor on the other. But if I hadn't have made that 3rd siege tank and that 3rd medevac, which are now headed to as natural, and I did switch the barracks to that tech lab to start stim, I would have made I would make two reactors on these 2 extra racks instead, since I already have a barracks on a tech lab.
Okay.
So yeah, how about we go ahead and do another Archon mode, and you try to do the build now? Do you think you can try to
Sure.
do that?
Let's do it. Let's see what I got.
You eavesdropping on us, Lightning?
Yep.
Did he drop out of the party? Oh, he was just in the lobby.
Yep.
Hi, Lightning.
Am I making a fool of myself yet, Lightning, or what?
I don't know, TvT. I'm just going off what you say.
Do you know T? What's your main?
Protoss. Can I be the AI that you guys practice against?
Sure, I guess so.
Sweet.
All right then.
Just let him do the build order, you know. Don't fucking proxy Reaper him.
Okay.
Do some crazy shit.
I'll just stay in my base the entire game.
Do that.
All right.
All right, are you guys ready?
Yep.
Let's do it.
You ready, Casey?
Yeah. Sorry. Yes, absolutely. 10-way cannon defense 2v4. That's a version 2.4. That's a great sounding arcade game.
What was it?
10-way cannon rush.
What?
No idea.
Not enough minerals.
Just camera hotkeys. And a little bit of boxing. Trying to select 2 at a time. Never works.
All right, now rally your CC to the gas geyser. There you go.
Not enough
Oh.
minerals.
And then shift click your SCV building the depot. Shift click it on your opponent's minerals. I like to click it onto the minerals because then it phases through any unit it encounters. Put 2 SCVs on gas.
Yeah, that's a timing I'm gonna have to get used to. Alright, let's see. Depot, gas, racks, factory. Gas, depot.
Check his other gas. Make sure you check his other gas real quick. Alright, so he's not going Reaper Hellion, but he could still be doing something, so go check his natural.
Make one of you.
Factory, gas, and then depot. And your orbital. Shit, we forgot your orbital.
Not enough minerals.
Oh no. Jesus. What are you doing? Well, that's not good. Are we gonna play these SCV games? That's awesome. I'm just gonna do this, and there we go. The SCV game's done. Alright, factory, reactor, no, shit. Factory, gas, depot, starport, factory tech. Okay.
Our SCVs are under attack.
Oh, you're still there. What are you both doing over there? Go away. Reactor? No. Tech lab. Fuck. This thing.
Our SCVs
Yeah, there you
are
go.
under attack.
Keep making Marines.
Okay, so starport, factory tech, supply depot on 26.
Yeah, so go ahead and make a depot right now because you lost 2 SCVs on his side of the map. So you're at 26 basically right now. Yeah, lift the factory. Make sure you don't put it too far because you want to, minimize lost building time. Start a Hellion and another depot and then a Raven.
Raven is a button I have never pressed. Like, where are you hiding?
Start another depot. Reactor on the factory. Now get a map presence with that Hellion.
330 was your
Not enough minerals.
expansion.
Now lift the starport off the tech lab. Lift the racks to put it on the reactor.
Complete.
Start a medevac. Tank, depot, 2 Marines.
Ready for service.
You built the 2 Marines before a depot, I think.
Yeah, I don't
Yes.
actually have a depot.
Yeah, see, now you're about to get supply blocked.
Which means, bam.
Try not to use those. I mean, it's okay in a situation like this, but you want to use the least amount of supply drops as possible.
Okay.
Alright, go ahead and start sending your Raven across the map.
Where you at, Raven? Okay.
Turn your natural into an orbital and transfer some SCVs over there.
Ready for dust off.
Not enough.
Make sure you
minerals.
put the tanks and the medevacs first.
Ready for pickup.
And you'll get 2 boosts
Not
across
enough
the map.
minerals.
If I pay attention.
Not enough minerals. Not enough minerals. Not enough energy. Upgrade complete.
Alright, and then right here is where you would decide if you want to take a 3rd or if you want to take 2 extra racks.
Dust off. Loud and clear.
Waiting orders.
I'm in a heap of trouble. Ready to go.
Don't drop the auto turrets until he comes to defend.
As you are.
Our SCVs are under attack.
Ready for dust off. SCV ready. This better be good. Talk to me.
Pick up the tanks and bounce.
Ready for pickup? Inbound. Where's the emergency?
You got a turret on the Raven. Drop the turret.
State your request.
So much happening at once.
Yeah, that's TvT for you.
I mean, he got the he got all of my fucking SCVs, but maybe I got all of his SCVs too.
Where's the emergency?
Cancel one of those reactors on the racks and build a tech lab.
What's going on? This better be good.
Transfer some SCVs from your natural to the third and repair that medevac and tank.
Armed and ready.
Add-on.
Start stim as soon as you have 100 gas. You're not mining any gas right now.
Insufficient Vespine gas. Add-on complete.
Ready for dust off.
Upgrade complete.
SCV ready. SCV ready.
Not enough energy. Not enough. Insufficient Vespine gas.
This better be good. Who wants some? SCV ready.
Insufficient Vespine gas.
You want a piece of me, boy?
Insufficient Vespine
Start stim.
gas.
Cancel that tank and start stim.
Insufficient Vespine gas.
Gangway. Coming through.
Resaturate your gases in your natural and main.
Armed and ready. SCV ready. SCV ready.
Not enough energy.
SCV ready.
Add-on complete.
Now what? Toxin. Toxin. Take it.
Add-on complete.
Feel free to drop a bunch more racks. Yeah, there you go.
Insufficient Vespine gas. Add-on.
Start one plus one.
Go ahead.
Insufficient Vespine gas.
Huh? Gangway. Coming through. SCV ready. Armed and ready.
Not enough minerals. Not enough minerals.
SCV ready.
Not enough minerals. Not enough minerals.
Roll it. Go, go, go. SCV ready. Big job. What's going
Start, here, I started plus
Not
one
enough
armor.
minerals.
Drop an armory as soon as you can.
SCV ready.
Not enough.
Want some?
Throw some add-ons on those racks.
Not enough.
SCV
Research complete.
by the numbers, boy.
Start combat shields.
Who wants some? SCV ready.
2 medevacs and a tank.
SCV ready.
Feel free to plop down a second factory right now.
SCV ready. SCV ready.
Not enough minerals.
Start plus one attack on your armory as soon as it
Not
finishes.
Enough minerals. Not enough minerals.
Gangway. Coming through. SCV ready.
Armory.
Ready for dust off.
This better be good. Some help here. SCV ready.
Plus one attack on your armory.
Got it.
Upgrade.
I know you're across the map right now, but
Big job, huh?
Think about taking a fourth soon.
You scared me.
I mean, you should have taken a fourth a while ago, but I mean, you're kind of at the point where it's freestyle now. You know, you executed the build, now it's just freestyle.
Research. Not enough minerals. Upgrade complete. Not enough energy. Mineral field depleted. Not enough minerals. Not enough minerals.
Tech lab on that second factory, start doing double tank production.
Mineral field depleted.
SCV ready.
Not enough minerals.
Start building a fourth next to your third.
Mineral field
You can just lift
depleted.
it.
Mineral field depleted. Add-on complete.
Yeah, good. Send a couple Marines out on the map just to spot any drops or
Not
anything.
enough minerals.
And see, you spotted he's coming.
Mineral field depleted.
This better be good.
Mineral
Try to
field
spread your Marines out. Yeah, good job.
Understood.
Mineral field
You want a
depleted.
piece of me, boy? Armed by the number.
Attention. Ready for pickup?
Feel free to
Here's your stuff.
send a drop his way with 8 Marines in it. Like, yeah, send it to his third, and hopefully you can, like, kill some SCVs.
Upgrade complete. Base is under attack.
We could use some help here.
Don't all army hotkey. Grab a huge chunk of Marines and send them to your natural. Your natural's dead, so don't attack into it. Just set up a defensive position in your main.
Ready for pickup?
Additional supply.
Somebody get me
Not
out of this
enough
mess.
energy.
Armed and ready.
Not enough minerals.
Want a piece of me? SCV ready. Got it.
Get the medevacs.
Mineral field depleted.
Damn, a little bit too late. It's okay.
Not enough. Not enough energy. Not enough minerals.
Want a piece of me, boy?
Upgrade complete. Not enough minerals.
I'm in deep. Who wants some?
Our SCVs are
Spread your Marines out at your front.
Not enough. Base is under attack. Our SCVs are under attack. Not enough minerals.
Oh, nice.
Go, go, go. We could use some help here.
Not enough minerals. Not enough minerals. Not enough minerals.
Gangway.
Nice. I was like, oh, he's taking control. That's hilarious.
Not enough minerals.
I've been
Mineral
doing
field
tiny
depleted.
little things here and there. But I've been mainly letting you do it all.
Not enough minerals.
Where am I at? Okay.
Not enough energy.
All right, so you're kind of. I think you're kind of behind, or at least that's how I would feel. So try to get something done. Like try to get over to his side of the map.
Not enough minerals. Not enough minerals. Add-on complete. Upgrade complete.
Gangway. Coming through. Armed and ready.
Watch out! Watch out!
Mineral field depleted.
Jesus.
Damn. Yeah, that's GG. Thanks, Lightning.
No problem.
So yeah, you did really good for your first time executing the build. You executed the build just fine, I think. Um, Basically, the only issues really was just your control, and that just comes with time. Being able to control, you know, defending, attacking, and expanding and whatnot.
Yeah, I thought I was dead when that attack hit.
What did I need to do to finish it?
To be honest, you would have been ahead if you denied my drop. My drop is what kept me in it.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree. You did a lot of damage with the first like Raven tank drop you did, and then his Doom drop into your natural basically sealed the deal for him.
Looks like I could have ignored my drop and focused on my own base then.
Yeah. So one thing I learned from the Muslim is one time he was streaming and he said he found the most improvement in his own gameplay when he stopped trying to micro. Like, not like stopped altogether trying to micro, but when it comes to things like drops and little skirmishes across the map, focus less on those and focus more on macroing up at home and setting up defensive positions at home.
Okay. Alright, I think I can see that.
I mean, I'm not saying don't ever micro. Obviously, when you drop some Marines, you don't just want to fucking drop them on top of a turret or in range of tanks. You want to micro, but try to focus more on at home than your drops and little skirmishes across the map.
Okay. Alright. I'll take that to heart.
You want to try it again?
We're like almost 2 hours in. You wanted to cover some macro pieces or some improvement pieces?
Um, to be honest, I don't really have anything off the top of my head right now. I think it'd be best for you to just practice that build a couple more times.
Absolutely. Let me use the restroom real quick because I've been downing coffee.
All right.
I will be right back. Alright, back in this.
Alrighty. You gonna do another one with us, Lightning?
Sure.
I really do appreciate it. That was good.
I feel like it'd be better practice than facing an AI.
Alright, you guys ready?
Oh, let me switch to Terran. Okay.
Yep.
You ready? Okay.
Absolutely. It is interesting to see how the principles of a master's off race still put him well above myself.
Yeah, I was actually kind of surprised. I was telling him while you were in the bathroom, he actually had some pretty sick macro for a Protoss.
Not enough minerals.
Who knew Protoss can macro?
Don't you just disrupt your 1A?
Not all the time.
Who'd have thunk a Protoss can macro?
Shit, apparently Terrans are OP right now, and I don't feel it.
SCV ready.
Yeah, I don't feel it either.
Go ahead.
I don't feel that Liberators are super OP
Okay.
like everyone says.
I'm with you.
Additional
Obviously.
supply depots required.
I will not get into the subject.
Roger. Bad news.
There's some pretty sick Liberator times that destroyed me.
I feel like we, as Terran, have a lot of things that... Oh, let me pull up the build. Shit. Fucking concentrate.
SCV ready.
Rax Factory Gas Depot. And Orbital this time.
Yeah. So yeah, we need to put that. So orbital should be the first thing you make. Orbital factory gas depot
SCV ready.
Orbital Factory.
and a
Oh,
marine.
right,
So
right.
so orbital factory marine gas depot.
Orbital Factory Gas Depot.
Marine
Marine.
depot.
Go ahead. Huh? Ah, you scared me.
So earlier, when you said you have a problem with control, I understand that now.
And when I say control, I mean not just like controlling your army units, but I also mean like just controlling the game, you know?
Right, sure.
By the number. Bad news.
Alright, so that's that piece. Factory Gas Depot. Starport, Factory Tech.
In the rear with the
Hey.
gear. Yep.
Starport Tech Lab,
Who wants some?
Marines.
Breather. Okay,
Me orders?
Factory Gas Depot, Starport, Factory Tech. So I started a early supply depot.
SCV ready.
That's fine. And then
Complete.
yeah, lift, build a Hellion, and the SCV building the starport, that's going to build another depot. So you can like queue that up right now if you want with shift or whatever.
Our SCVs are under attack.
Well then, aren't you fun?
Ready. Who wants some?
Raven, there you go.
This better be good. Been waiting on
Rally the Hellion to his Reaper.
ready to raise some hell.
Reactor. Send the Hellion out.
If you bomb an SCV that is building something, does it take it off what it's building?
Nope.
Not until you destroy it.
That'd be sick if it did that.
Alright, expand soon.
Bad news. What's going?
Like right now. There you go.
SCV ready. In the rear with the gear. Who wants some? SCV ready.
Add-on complete.
Medevac Tank Depot.
Um,
Tank Depot.
Not enough minerals.
SCV ready.
And you had a Viking queued up for some reason on the starport.
Talk to me, boss.
Oh,
Sec-
thank you.
Second medevac,
On you.
second tank.
Not enough minerals.
Ready for dust off.
Additional supply.
And then it looks like a
depots
depot.
required. Not enough minerals.
No, we're actually you should have gotten the expand a little bit earlier, and you wouldn't be supply blocked. But I think it's fine.
Daylight's burning.
Cause see your CC's about to finish. All right, and think about taking a third base right now.
I am thinking about it pretty heavily.
Not enough minerals.
I can't build here.
Do you?
And you can now you can either switch the racks to the tech lab and start stim, or you can start a third medevac and a third tank. Liberator works too.
Ready for pickup?
Start a tank or just start something from the factory so it's not sitting there. Transfer some SCVs to your natural.
Not enough minerals.
SCV ready.
Shit. Sorry about that. Hands in one of those Marines.
It's alright, we're all on the same page.
Gotcha.
Upgrade complete.
Right on.
Awaiting orders.
Liberation is at hand.
Waiting on you. Where's the emergency?
Goddamn, come on.
Your week.
Life flight's here.
I'm in a heap of trouble.
Talk to me.
Don't drop the turrets just yet. Okay, now drop them. Good. Get that weak tank. There you go.
Our SCVs are under attack.
I'm in deep. SCV ready.
How did that Liberator get liberated?
I did that.
Ready for dust off.
Ready to roll out. What's our target? Gangway coming through.
Insufficient rescue gas.
Talk to me.
Upgrade complete.
SCV ready. Who wants some? Yep. Need some?
Ready for service.
You scared me. SCV ready.
Sorry, I'll stop doing this shit.
I look around like I didn't start those gases. Or any of that shit.
Vespine gas.
Incoming order.
That's funny.
Tech lab on the barracks you got.
Thank you.
Start a tank and a reactor on the starport.
Insufficient Vespine gas. Our SCVs are under attack.
What? Why would you do this?
Add-on complete. Our SCVs are under attack.
Check your natural.
Yep, got it. Thank you.
Who wants some?
Talk to me.
Awaiting.
Am I attacking my own?
Add-on complete.
Yes, hit S.
Waiting on
Whenever you accidentally do that with your tank, select the tanks and hit S to stop.
Insufficient Vespine gas. Not enough minerals.
Start
Not
stim
enough
ASAP.
energy.
Gangway coming through.
Not insufficient Vespine gas.
SCV ready.
Awaiting.
Good job.
Our
Oh.
SCVs are under attack.
Who wants some?
life flight's here. Ready for dust off.
Ready to roll out.
Not enough energy. Our SCVs are under attack.
Go, go, go.
You are just a fucking multitasking master.
Insufficient. Our SCVs are under attack.
I'm gonna cancel this
Insufficient
medevac and start
Vespine
stim.
gas.
Who wants some? Want a piece of me, boy? In the rear with the gear. You gonna give me orders?
Talk to me.
Add-on complete. Insufficient Vespine gas.
SCV ready. Big job, huh? Bad news? Go,
All right, now go get something done on his side of the map. You're starting to stabilize.
Want a piece of me, boy? Go ahead.
State your request. Right away. Underway. Ready.
SCV ready.
Don't forget to never stop making SCVs.
Not enough minerals. Not enough minerals.
Who wants some?
Scanning battlefield already.
SCV.
Our SCVs are under attack.
Don't bring your whole army back.
Gotta bring some. Alright, let's see. You, go back.
Piece of me, boy.
Our SCVs are under attack.
What's our target?
Not enough minerals.
Ready for service. Right away. Commencing.
Who wants?
Base is under attack. Not enough energy.
This better be.
Oh, fuck.
Did you do that?
Now what?
No.
On my way.
Our SCVs are under attack.
Who wants some? Armed and ready. We could use some help here.
GG, man. Fucking GG. You are.
Yeah, he tore you apart with multitasking there.
I can't be salty. That was excellent.
I should play Terran.
You should play some fucking Terran. Oh,
Ooh, that was 2 minute supply block though.
I have not been. A Diamond Terran has never dismantled me that well. Not to mention that Ninkasi couldn't stop helping.
Yeah, I know. It was just like the urges. That's why I'm bad at Archon mode, because I try to take over.
Oh, that was good. Okay. Hooah.
All right, well, keep doing that build, man, and eventually you'll be able to do it with your eyes closed.
Yeah, no, I can. I didn't feel like I could the last two matchups we worked on, but I'm a lot better at them now. So, like if you look at my statistics, it's really, really apparent.
Yeah, so I would recommend just do that build, just do it over and over again, and don't even worry about reacting to what your opponent's doing until you can do that build like almost perfectly.
Okay.
And then once you're really good at the build, then start thinking about different variations. Oh, maybe I should get a Viking instead of a medevac, or maybe I shouldn't do the drop. I should wait and defend.
Okay. No, until it's second nature.
Alrighty, Mang. Well, do you got any questions for me, or is there any comments or anything you want to talk about real quick?
Yeah, there's just a lot to work on. Walking away from this with just stuff to do, so that's good.
And so, like I've said, multiple times before, I promised you, 8 hours of, recorded formal coaching, but, please feel free to, ask me for advice or coaching or whatever, whenever you want.
Sure, no, definitely. I think
my coaching for you doesn't end right now, is what I'm saying.
Absolutely. It's I've seen it so far. Just between these two sessions, we've worked a little bit together. So, not to mention the amount of coaching I've gotten from your friends. Oh, hey, no, that'll let me camera shift here. So I guess that'll conclude it. Hey, thank you so much. I do appreciate it thoroughly.
No problem, man. Let me know if you're trying to buy me another video game. I'm just kidding.
I'll tell you. You find a game that me and you both want to play together, and it's a done deal.
Word. Well,
Absolutely.
I'll keep that in mind.
All right, man. Hey. So this is the final bit of our coaching session. I'm gonna go ahead and end the video here. Upload this into YouTube sometime tonight because I do want to have internet between now and the next 3 hours. But there we are. Hey, thank you again.
No problem, man. You take care. I'm going to go ahead and get off TeamSpeak for now.
All right. Bye-bye.
See ya.